Pam, sounds like you're looking at who's on board. I was
Yes,
just going to ask.
I am.
Oh boy, there's some feedback.
Is that you or me?
Pam, who do we have showing up from the committee?
So we've got Commissioner Antor, Commissioner Brevi, Bukowski, Morgan. Still waiting on Sparks. We got Harold. Waiting on Robert.
Well, we have quorum.
Yep.
It is
we have a
8:30.
quorum.
So, Wayman, why don't we begin with you reading the notice regarding electronic participation, please?
Sure will. Pursuant to Governor Whitmer's Executive Order 2020-154, the Finance and Fiscal Resources Committee, the Kent County Board of Commissioners, in order to protect the public health, will conduct this meeting today via electronic communications. Any member of the public wishing to listen to the proceedings or provide public comment may do so by using the following internet connections or phone numbers and passcode. They are listed on the agenda. Anyone disrupting the meeting by using offensive language or actions may be removed from the meeting. You may solicit public comment via email at publiccomment@kentcountym.gov.
Thank you, Wayman. And with that, we will go to agenda item number 1, which is public comment. So we will give the public time to either chime in via the Zoom meeting or send a public comment via email to publiccomment@kentcountymi.gov. So public comment is open.
Correct. I don't see any messages in the inbox at the moment. No hands are raised.
Okay, just a reminder, if you're not speaking, to please mute your phones. That helps cut down the background noise. Thank you very much.
Don't see anything still.
All right, we will close public comment and we will go to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Moved by Brevi.
Supported by Wood.
Voorhees, support.
All right, moved and supported. Any questions or comments on the consent agenda? Okay, why don't we go ahead and take a roll call vote for the consent agenda, Pam?
Sure. Commissioner Antor. Commissioner Antor. Commissioner Brevi.
Yes.
Commissioner Bukowski.
Yes.
Commissioner Morgan.
Yes.
Commissioner Sparks.
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Womack. Commissioner Womack. Commissioner Wooden. Commissioner Wooden. I see Commissioner Wooden.
He's frozen.
Commissioner Wooden looks frozen. I'll go back to him. Chair Jones.
Yes.
Commissioner Antor. Commissioner Wooden. Well, that motion passes.
Okay, we will go to item number 3 on the agenda. Wayman, would you please read the action request?
Yes, this is a request to accept a coronavirus relief fund migrant seasonal worker grant from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services to appropriate $200,000 to the 2020 Kent County Community Action Fund to reimburse expenses incurred and to authorize board chair designee to execute the grant agreement, approve extensions, amendments, and increases to the grant appropriation not to exceed 15% of the original award. Kent County Community Action has been notified by the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services that it will receive a coronavirus relief migrant workers grant in the amount of $200,000 from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services for a migrant seasonal farm worker program. The allocation of $200,000 includes funds for administrative expenses up to 10%, which is $20,000, and $180,000 to be used for direct assistance. This grant will provide a voucher of $1,000 to each eligible seasonal migrant farm worker or food processing worker who has lost wages resulting from testing positive for COVID-19 and have a need to isolate. The grant will reimburse costs of eligible activities incurred within the performance period beginning August 1, 2020 through December 30th, 2020. Prior to signature, Corporate Counsel will review all documents and approve as to form. This action item is an activity related to COVID-19.
Thank you, Wayman. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion approved by Sparks.
Support by Breve.
Moved and supported, and we'll take questions, comments, and discussion. Commissioner Wooden?
Thank you, Chair. My question was, how are we planning on dispersing these dollars? Is it a coordination with our local health providers? Is there a specific focus with those health providers who have strong ties within the migrant worker community, like Clinica Santa Maria, which currently operated by Mercy Health? What are the plans to get these dollars out the door and identifying potential clients?
I didn't see Susan Cervantes on the line, but maybe she's there now. Susan there, she could probably answer that if she's there. If not, we'll get back.
I am here, Wayman.
Okay. Hi, Susan.
And the coordination of the funds are happening with us, the Kent County Health Department, and with the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services agricultural workers. And so the health department is doing the testing in collaboration with Cherry Hill Health Department, Health Center. And then the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services workers are delivering the results to the farm workers and then helping them fill out the documentation that we are using to provide the wages.
Great. The reason I asked was, we've seen, I recall when MSU Extension came, a downtick in the seeking of SNAP benefits, largely because people who do qualify for them, who have either permanent or temporary status here, but because they're of their country of origin or because they might have family members who have who are either undocumented or a loved one, there's still a concern of pursuing government services, and that's been a barrier in the past. That was why I was asking the question. But seeing that there's a broad swath in those who are already working on testing, I think that makes a lot of sense. I just wanted to make sure that that's been noted in our plans to get these dollars at the door. I'd hate to accept a grant, appropriate it, and then have that be a barrier, and then we're still sitting on money that people need. So thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else? No others? Pam, would you please take the roll call?
Sure. Commissioner Antor.
Yes.
Commissioner Breve.
Yes.
Commissioner Bukowski.
Yes.
Commissioner Morgan.
Yes.
Commissioner Sparks.
Yes.
Commissioner Voorhees.
Yes.
Commissioner Womack. Commissioner Wooden,
Yes.
Chair Jones.
Yes.
That motion passes.
Thank you. That will bring us to item number 4 from Kent County Community Action. Wayman, would you please go over the action request?
Yes, this is a request for the board to accept a quarantine coronavirus aid relief and economic security assistance kit grant from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, Bureau of Community Action and Economic Opportunity, and to appropriate $50,000 to the 2020 Kent County Community Action Fund and to authorize the board chair or designee to execute the grant agreement, approve extensions, amendments, and increases to the grant appropriation and not to exceed 15% of the original award. Community Action has been notified by the Department of Health and Human Services that it will receive a quarantine care grant in the amount of $50,000 to provide quarantine boxes with food and or household hygiene items to low-income persons at or below 200% of poverty, the federal poverty level, that are quarantined in isolation because they have tested positive for COVID-19 and they're waiting for test results and have been exposed to COVID-19 are vulnerable seniors, homebound, or immune compromised. The allocation of $50,000 includes funding for administrative expenses up to 10% and $45,000 to be used for quarantine box supplies. This grant will ensure the target population can safely remain in quarantine and isolation, which reduces the chance of exposure to COVID-19. The grant will reimburse costs of eligible activities incurred within the performance period beginning August 1, 2020 through December 30, 2020. Prior to signature, Corporate Counsel will review and approve all documents. This action item is related to COVID-19.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
Moved by Brevi.
Is there
Support
support?
Wood.
Moved and supported, and we will take questions, comments, and discussion. Yes, Commissioner Wooden.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to sound like a bit of a broken record from the last item, but what is KCCA's plan to distribute these boxes? Is it to pre-buy and develop them and then hand them out to our health providers so that they're a little bit closer to those who are in quarantine and isolation? Is it through the health department? Are we hanging up a shingle and having them come to us? What's the plan for getting these boxes to the people who need them?
Susan, are you there?
I am.
Susan Grantes will answer, hopefully.
Yes. Our plan is to work with the health department and with 211 to distribute the kits. What we've done is we've purchased several items, over about 20 some items. What we do is we talk to the person, ask them what they need, and then we fulfill their needs uniquely with the items that we have. If they ask for something that we don't have, then we'll go out and purchase it. And then our drivers or our staff are delivering the kits to them.
Perfect. Great. Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Hey, Pam, would you please take the roll call vote?
Sure. Commissioner Antor,
Yes.
Commissioner Brevi,
Yes.
Commissioner Volkowski,
Yes.
Commissioner Morgan,
Yes.
Commissioner Sparks,
Yes.
Commissioner Voorhees,
Yes.
Commissioner Womack, Commissioner Wooden,
Yes.
Chair Jones.
Yes.
That motion passes.
Thank you. We will go on to item number 5 on our agenda, also from Kent County Community Action. Wayman, would you please read the action request?
Yes, this is a request to accept a water and plumbing repair COVID-19 grant from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, Bureau of Community Action and Economic Opportunity to appropriate $345,000 to the 2020 Kent County Community Action Fund and authorize the chair or designee to execute the grant agreement, approve extensions, amendments, and increases to the grant appropriation not to exceed 15% of the original award. Community Action has been notified by DHHS that it will receive a water plumbing repair COVID-19 grant in the amount of $345,000 for a water and plumbing repair program. The allocation of $345,000 includes funding for administrative expenses up to 10% and $310,500 to be used for direct assistance. This grant will be used to ensure every eligible household at or below 200% of the federal poverty level has access to hot or cold water and at least one functioning toilet, shower, bath, kitchen faucet, and laundry tub. It is also a program goal that the house has functioning wastewater drainage. The grant will reimburse costs of eligible activities incurred within the performance period beginning August 1, 2020 through December 30th, 2020. And prior to signature, corporate counsel will review all documents for approval. This action item is an activity related to COVID-19.
Thank you, Wayman. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve by Sparks.
Support by Breve.
Okay, moved and supported. Why don't we just have Susan pop on and tell us how this is going to be executed?
Okay. This program, we're going to work with the whole county. This is a countywide program. So we're working with the city of Grand Rapids, the home repair services, our internal moderate home repair program. And we've contacted the health department because we can do septic, sewers, those types. We can do internal and external issues. And so we have developed a flyer for the local units of governments, and we've developed how we can take referrals for all of these. What we're doing also is, because it's an emergency program, we're having our staff go out and determine what needs to be done, and then we'll seek a licensed plumber or excavation, whatever is necessary at that time.
Hey, let's take some questions. Pam, are there any questions?
Looks like Commissioner Bukowski has a
Okay,
question.
Commissioner Bulkowski.
Thank you, Chair. Not really a question, just saying to Susan, she preempted the questions by listing, the partners that need to be part of this. So thanks for that good work, and
Thank
hopefully
you.
we get this to people who need it.
Yes, we'll take any referrals.
Hey, anyone else, Pam?
Doesn't look like anybody else has their hands raised.
All right, please call the roll.
Commissioner Antor,
Yes.
Commissioner Breve,
Yes.
Commissioner Bukowski,
Yes.
Commissioner Morgan,
Yes.
Commissioner Sparks,
Yes.
Commissioner Voorhees,
Yes.
Commissioner Womack, Commissioner Wooden,
Yes.
Chair Jones.
Yes.
That motion passes.
Okay, we will go to item 6, also from Kent County Community Action. Wayman, would you please review the action request?
Yes, this is a request to accept a water coronavirus aid and relief economic security assistance grant from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, Bureau of Community Action and Economic Opportunity to appropriate $1.3 million to the 2020 County Community Action Fund and to authorize the board chair designee to execute the grant agreement, to approve extensions, amendments, and increases to the grant appropriation not to exceed 15% of the original award. Community Action has been notified by DHHS that it will receive a water care grant in the amount of $1.3 million from DHS, the organization called the Bureau of Community Action and Economic Opportunity, for a water assistance program. The allocation of 1.3 includes funding for an administrative expenses up to 4%, which is $53,700, and $1.2 million, which can be used for direct assistance. This grant will ensure eligible residents, water customers help them retain water and wastewater service, and will pay for arrearages starting with March 1, 2020 through December of this year, or until the funding for this program has been exhausted, whichever comes first. Prior to signature, the corporate council will review and approve all documents as to form. The action item is an activity related to COVID-19.
Moved
Thank
by
you, Wayne.
Voorhees.
Moved by Voorhees and support by,
Support by Brevi.
moved and supported. We'll take questions, comments, and discussion, but after we talk to Susan about how this will be administered.
Again, this is a program where the municipalities had an opportunity to participate. Only one municipality has agreed to participate with us, and that's the city of Grand Rapids. And what happens is that the municipality has to be willing to forgive 25% of the arrearages. And then we do a data share agreement, which we have in place. They're sending us their arrearage bills, and we're connecting those with those who have SNAP benefits or those who receive food stamps. Right now, the city estimates they have about $3 million in arrearages. And so not all of those people will be eligible. It will only be the ones that are SNAP eligible, which is at 130% of poverty. What we'll do is we'll connect their data with our data on the SNAP eligibility, and then pay up to $700 for their water and up to $700 of their wastewater bills that have been in arrearages from March 1st through September 30th.
Okay, are there any questions, comments?
Commissioner Wooden
Anyone?
has a question.
Commissioner Wooden.
Thank you, Chair. I just one quick clarifying question. Does one need to reach the point of a shutoff notice to qualify for these, or is it simply just being behind? And since you're sharing data with the city, you'll be able to kind of preemptively identify those folks.
Right, and right now, they have to have arrearages, and because there was a moratorium on shutoffs, the shutoff issue is a mute issue right now.
That makes sense. Thank you.
All right, Pam, would you please call the roll?
Sure. Commissioner Antor.
Yeah.
Commissioner Brevi.
Yes.
Commissioner Volkowski.
Yes.
Commissioner Morgan.
Yes.
Commissioner Sparks.
Yes.
Commissioner Voorhees.
Yes.
Commissioner Womack. Commissioner Wooden.
Yes.
Chair Jones.
Yes.
That motion passes.
Thank you. That brings us to item number 7 from the Sheriff Department. And Wayman, would you please review that action request?
Sure will. This is a request to the Board of Commissioners to purchase body cameras and tasers for all law enforcement personnel and in-car cruiser cameras for all police cruisers, to appropriate $2,200,000 to the 2020 CIP fund budget from the Sheriff's 2020 general fund budget, and to authorize fiscal services to execute the contract. Sheriff's office currently has tasers and in-car cameras that are in need of replacement. This request is to replace these items through the purchase of 200 tasers for all law enforcement deputies and purchase of 3 in-car cameras for police cruisers. In addition, this request is to purchase 200 body cameras for all law enforcement deputies. Body cameras are valuable tools to increase the accountability of all parties involved: the officers who wear the body cameras, other law enforcement officers on the scene, and those that may be involved in the incident. They also allow for greater transparency for the residents and communities where they are used. Body cameras offer real-time, unbiased information about what happened on a call for service or with any public contact. Footage from the body cameras can be used in training and monitoring exercises to strengthen the performance of law enforcement officers. The tasers, in-car video cameras, and body cameras are all a part of one package that seamlessly integrate together. The package also includes a camera system with 5 cameras for the Detective Bureau interview room and 25 docking stations. Altogether, the purchase of these products will produce a very streamlined FOIA and discovery process as well. The purchases include a service contract at a cost of $75,000 per year for the second 5 years. Prior to signature, corporate counsel will review and approve all documents as to form, and this action item is not an activity related to COVID-19.
Voorhees
you.
moves.
Support by Breve.
Okay, moved and supported, and we will take questions, comments, and discussion. Yes, Commissioner Wooden.
Thank you, Chair. First, I think it's absolutely great that we are bringing body cameras to our deputies. Evidence shows that this definitely helps with streamlining a FOIA process and making sure our situations are well understood. My first question was, is there any way to either what happens to in the event that a deputy turns off a body camera while on duty? Not suggesting that will happen with any of our deputies. We have seen it occur in other departments. Is there a way that it's notified in real time at all? Or is it just if after an incident we find out that the officer turned off their camera, is there an additional degree of accountability taken should that event occur?
I believe Sheriff Young is on the phone.
Yeah, so the system automatically triggers on in several circumstances, to include when the taser is removed from its holster and then begins to record. So there are a lot of measures in place to keep that from happening with the equipment today. It does not send a real-time signal if somebody were to turn it off, but there are significant and severe, sometimes termination if a deputy were to turn it off purposely during an event that is supposed to be recorded. And we actually have that in place today with our in-car camera system and audio recording. So this will not be a significant transition for the officers in that regard.
Gotcha. And just to make sure I understand this, it's the automatic turn on if they reach their taser is not necessarily that the camera only comes on when they reach the taser. That's just a second check so that you can examine I think it's called the force continuum to see how they've escalated or de-escalated the situation.
Right. There are several triggers that will cause the cameras to automatically turn on, but the officer always has the ability and also requirement, if they're going to make a citizen contact, to turn the camera on. That's part of our policy. But there's things like when the vehicle lights go on, it'll trigger the in-car camera. When they break the holster for either their taser or their weapon, it will turn on the body cam. If two officers are working in concert, their video will be coordinated with each other and with the in-car video. And again, that's why we picked the system that had all components, because us retrieving that video in a very quick manner has proven to be really, really important in terms of transparency to a community when there has been an event. So the time it takes to coordinate this video, if the system doesn't do it, can be very extensive.
Absolutely. And thank you very much for answering my questions. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Bukowski.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Sheriff. Quick question. According to the memo, is it correct that the in-car cameras and tasers portion of this is a replacement and the body cameras is going to be a new addition?
Yes, that's correct. We already have an in-car camera system in place. It's from a different vendor. It is near end of life. I expect actually next year would have been our procurement process for the in-car video, and the tasers as well are at end of life. We're already planned for this year replacement and then into next year's replacement. But the fact that we buy them all together allows us to coordinate this video far more effectively. So it makes it a better process for us for implementation and using the system afterwards.
Okay, so today deputies don't have body cameras, but they will once this purchase is completed and installed and trained and all that.
Correct.
All right, thank you.
Finance Committee meeting.
So Commissioner Sparks, do you have a question? Hello, Commissioner Sparks, did you have a question?
No, I'm all set. Thank you. I apologize. Thank you.
Okay,
Antor has a comment.
go ahead, Commissioner Antor.
Thank you, Chair. The only thing I would take issue with a little bit is just the description that these cameras will provide unbiased input. I'd like to point out that it's only unbiased input when the entire recording is shown to the public and not edited. I know when there is an incident, the sheriff and whatever committees review these things, they'll get the entire recording in context. A lot of times the things that are put out to the public are edited way down and you're not getting the full picture. So I just wanted to point that out. What we see in the public is not necessarily unbiased. Oftentimes it is biased depending on who's putting it out.
I think in this context, the representation that we put out will be the true event that happened in its full context with the narrow exemptions under FOIA.
Right, I understand that. I'm just saying what the media puts out is different than what you guys put out.
Hey, Wayman, can you discuss for a moment the time frame on this?
And so this will be coming through this budget season, 2020 budget. So this is not something that rolls into the 2020-21, although the purchases, I'm not sure when these would actually be in place. So maybe Sheriff can explain that, the timing of that.
We will be fully implemented by the end of the year. We have some units that we have used as pilot units during our procurement process. Those are implemented now. And they're largely being used to help us really narrow down all of our policy changes around recording. But we're very confident working with fleet services and purchasing that we'll be able to have this fully implemented by the end of the year.
If it passes the board on September 24th.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks. Just thank you very much. All right, is there anyone else? No other hands. Pam, would you please call the roll?
Sure. Commissioner Antor,
Yes.
Commissioner Breivy,
Yes.
Commissioner Bukowski,
Yes.
Commissioner Morgan,
Yes.
Commissioner Sparks,
Yes.
Commissioner Voorhees,
Yes.
Commissioner Womack, Commissioner Wooden,
Yes.
Chair Jones,
Yes.
and that motion passes.
Thank you. That brings us to item number 8, also from the Sheriff Office. Wayman, would you please read the action request?
Yes, this is a request to the Board of Commissioners to accept the 2019 State Homeland Security Grant from the State of Michigan Department of State Police to appropriate $304,800 to the 2020-21 Sheriff Emergency Management Homeland Security budget in the Special Project Fund, and to authorize Board Chair designate to execute the grant agreement, approve extensions, amendments, and increases to the grant appropriation not to exceed 15% of the original award. The Michigan Department of State Police Emergency Management Homeland Security Division provides federal pass-through funds for Homeland Security programs. The purpose of the 2019 Homeland Security Grant Program is to prevent, deter, and respond to and recover from incidents of national significance, including but not limited to threats and incidents of terrorism. Starting with the grant year 2006, the Homeland Security Grant funding allotments were allocated on a regional basis. Kent County was placed into Region 6, which is part of a 13-county region. The beneficiary for the grant is the West Michigan Regional Medical Consortium. The grant funds will be used to cover the personnel costs from the Homeland Security Planner, as well as for equipment purchases as listed in the grant summary document. The grant period is September 1, 2019 to May 31, 2022. Prior to signature, corporate counsel will review and approve all documents as form, and the action item is not an activity related to COVID-19.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
Moved by Breve.
Support, Cantor.
Okay, moved and supported. We'll see if we have questions, comments, or discussion. Commissioner Bukowski.
Thank you, Chair. Question for the sheriff, just curious. Anytime I see expenses related to the 800 megahertz system, my internal question is, I thought the 911 surcharge was supposed to cover that. So I thought the 911 surcharge was supposed to cover that. And is this, yeah, so.
Radios. So the 911 surcharge is covering a $25 million procurement that actually is coming to fruition this fall. They're actually doing testing of all the towers right now. But there are some ancillary and support radios that they're buying to have available in the event that we have to bring resources in and need additional radios to support them. And the 911 surcharge does not support continuing expense related to replacement of radios, additional radios. It was simply the initial purchase of the radio system. And I say 25 million, it was a bond project, so there's going to be costs supporting that bond, yeah, for years into the future. But you will see other radio related purchases that will come through Homeland Security, even through the Sheriff's Department budget in years to come, because of the level that we set that 911 surcharge was just for the cost to purchase the initial system. And that's what we all agreed on at the time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no other hands? No other questions or comments? Natasha, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Antor,
Oh, Pam will call the roll.
Commissioner Breve,
Yes.
Commissioner Bukowski,
Yes.
Commissioner Morgan,
Yes.
Commissioner Sparks,
Yes.
Commissioner Voorhees,
Yes.
Commissioner Womack, Commissioner Wooden,
Yes.
Chair Jones.
Yes.
That motion passes.
Thank you. That will bring us to item number 9, Commissioner Miscellaneous. Is there any Commissioner Miscellaneous this morning? Okay, I do have some Commissioner Miscellaneous. Our next meeting after this is our first work session for the budget. And I just wanted to do one housekeeping piece with Wayman. Wayman, we don't have hard copies of our budget yet, correct?
Correct.
Is there a plan to mail those to the to each board member?
Yes, today we'll cover that on video, but the plan is to get those out to all commissioners. Yes, that is the plan.
By mail?
Yes.
Okay,
Or they could pick them up, but that's, plan is probably the best, have them go out by mail.
okay. So anyone who wants to join that can join that work session. Again, can find that on accesskent.com, right, Wayman?
That's correct. And yesterday, Pam sent out a easier, hopefully to navigate document for you. It has tabs in it. So hopefully that gives you a better ease in keeping up with the conversation this morning that we're going to have.
And the other piece I wanted to make sure on this topic is we will not necessarily be confined to 1 hour. Is that correct? Like the Zoom doesn't end at 10:30. Is that right, Wayman?
That's correct.
So my goal is to not have discussion run more than 2 hours for each of these sessions. I know that we could probably go on 6 or 7 hours. Think that's extensive. So let's try to see if we can have these run and wrap up in the in a 2 hour type of time frame. So Wayman, I think going forward, we should probably set these more in a 2-hour time frame to give us that flexibility. And if they end sooner, fine. But that's one of the advantages of having it after the finance meeting versus before. We won't have any meeting that is going to bump up to these work sessions that's going to cause an issue. So with that, are there any other miscellaneous? All right, let's go ahead and adjourn. Our next meeting date is Tuesday, October 6th, and we'll do our work session at 9:30. Thank you.
Thank you.